The most dangerous man in dating is not always the obvious liar, the slob, the cheap man, or the grandiose peacock who refers to himself as an alpha while borrowing money from his sister. The dangerous man is often cultured, attentive, articulate, generous, and emotionally fluent enough to make a woman believe she has finally met someone rare. Then, after he has received the intimacy, admiration, tenderness, and access that ordinarily take months to earn, he announces that he does not know if he wants a relationship. Today, we are examining the story of J.K. and a man we will call S. More importantly, we are answering the question women ask after these brief but devastating connections. How would a committed-minded man act differently? Because commitment is not a mood. It is not a long hug in a bar. It is not a meal cooked in someone's home. It is not a man fixing a broken dish while quietly leaving your emotional foundation in pieces. Commitment is revealed by sequence, consistency, responsibility, and the degree to which a man's actions become more coherent as intimacy increases. J.K. met S in a bar. She asked him to dance. He said yes. They danced several times, hugged, talked easily, and he bought her a drink. They exchanged numbers. He appeared thoughtful. He explained that his phone number had a confusing area code because he had lived elsewhere. A tiny detail, perhaps, but it registered as consideration. Then he offered her a ride home. When she hesitated and mentioned that she already had transportation arranged, he warned her not to trust strangers. "I am still a stranger," he said. That was actually the most honest thing he said all evening. Women often make the same mistake at this stage. They see a man's awareness of danger as proof of his safety. But a man can accurately describe a boundary and still benefit when you cross it. He can be perceptive, charming, ethical in conversation, even sincerely concerned in the moment, and still not be equipped to handle the responsibility of someone's trust. S was a stranger. He said so himself. Yet within days, J.K. was initiating contact because she feared that if she did not, he would not pursue. That inner voice was not paranoia. It was data. When you feel you must create the momentum, because a man may not, do not silence that observation with romance. The early dating period is not a courtroom where you must argue your case for being chosen. It is an audition for reciprocity. A committed-minded man who is interested does not make you carry the entire beginning. He does not need to perform a sonnet beneath your balcony at midnight. But he takes initiative. He follows up. He makes a concrete plan. He does not wait for you to call, because he has not worked out where or when to ask you out. A man capable of law school, classical studies, non-profit work, and operating a motor vehicle can formulate dinner plans. Let us not pretend the logistics are equivalent to landing a spacecraft. S told J.K. he was delighted she called. That may have been true. But delight at being pursued is not the same as intentional pursuit. Then came the issue of trust. S raised it again on their next date. It was on his agenda. J.K. was upset and did not want to discuss it. He repeated her words and dropped it. On the surface, this seems respectful. In reality, what matters is not that he dropped a conversation. What matters is what followed. They had unprotected sex on the second date. When J.K. asked whether she should be concerned about sexually transmitted infections, his immediate response was, "Do I?" That is not mature concern. That is a deflection. A committed-minded man is not necessarily perfect, and he is not a saint descending from the clouds carrying flowers and laboratory results. But he understands that sexual intimacy creates practical and emotional responsibility. He does not treat safety as an awkward interruption to desire. He does not respond to a legitimate concern, as though the issue is an inconvenience that wandered into his bedroom uninvited. A man can talk eloquently about trust, but the real test is whether his behavior protects it. Over the next several dates, S became deeply woven into J.K.'s life. She told him her story. He was witty, educated, charming, and intellectually engaging. He had prestigious degrees. He worked for a cause that appeared aligned with her values. He paid for meals. He cooked. She met his dog. He drove her to a music lesson so they could spend more time together. He said she could call him at work if she needed help finding something in her home. He read her mail. He fixed a broken dish. He called from his commute. He held her when she cried. All of this feels intimate because it is intimate. But intimacy and commitment are not identical twins. They are barely cousins who see each other at holidays and pretend to get along. A man who knows how to create domestic atmosphere can make 2 weeks feel like a relationship. Cooking together, sharing a bed, helping with errands, fixing things, discussing future trips, meeting pets, speaking tenderly during distress. These are powerful signals to the nervous system. The body and mind begin to conclude, we are building a life. Meanwhile, the other person may simply be enjoying an unusually pleasant chapter in his own. This is why women must learn to distinguish emotional theater from relational architecture. Theater is intense. It has lighting, music, chemistry, symbols, long embraces, and promises implied, but never clearly spoken. Architecture is slower. It is repetitive. It is often less intoxicating. It is a man consistently showing up, introducing you to the real structure of his life, speaking clearly about his intentions, and making choices that account for your presence in the future. S offered fragments of future talk. A possible train trip to visit J.K.'s father. A possible road trip. But listen carefully to his wording about the train trip. Yeah, sure, if we're still friends by then. There it is. The exit door was installed before the furniture arrived. A committed-minded man may still be cautious early on. Caution is not the enemy. But his caution will not be concealed inside romantic acceleration. He will not create the illusion of a relationship while retaining the language of a casual acquaintance. He will say, in one form or another, I like where this is going. I want to keep getting to know you. I am dating with intention. His plans will match his words. Research gives us a useful lens here. In a 2011 study published in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology, researchers found that uncertainty about a person's romantic interest could intensify attraction and preoccupation. In plain language, ambiguity can make someone feel more compelling, not less. The mind becomes a detective. Every text, delay, call, and affectionate gesture turns into a clue. This is why inconsistent behavior can feel so addictive. You are not simply missing the person. You are trying to solve the unfinished puzzle. S ended the relationship after 2 weeks. He came to J.K.'s home with dinner and surprise dessert, then held her hand and explained that they had different perspectives. He valued and respected her too much to continue. He did not know if he wanted to be in a relationship. Notice the pattern. He waited until after sex, emotional disclosure, domestic intimacy, future suggestions, and caretaking rituals to confess uncertainty about relationships. A committed-minded man can end a connection. That is not villainy. Sometimes 2 people are incompatible, but he does not take every privilege of closeness before revealing that he may not be capable of the basic structure being implied. If he recognizes that he does not want a relationship, he says so early. If he realizes later that there is no fit, he names the actual issue as directly as possible. He does not hide behind beautifully upholstered phrases such as different perspectives, while the other person is left wondering which perspective, precisely, made him disappear. Then came the final indignity. J.K., wounded but still generous, praised him in a message. He said he felt like a perfect asshole. Instead of allowing him to sit with the consequence of his choices, she comforted him. He thanked her for showing him there were still sweet and noble people in the world. This is where many women hand a man emotional absolution he has not earned. He receives the relationship, the attention, the sex, the tenderness, the praise, the forgiveness, and even the reassurance that he is not bad for leaving. It is an astonishing return on investment. Somewhere, a mediocre man is taking notes with a tiny gold pen. Later, he called to apologize, said he had been having a difficult few days, and that he felt better now. Again, his pain entered the center of the story. J.K. tried friendship. She offered cake. He responded with a heart and then disappeared for days. Finally, she named what she felt, that he had taken advantage of her innocence for personal gratification. He replied that he was sorry he hurt her and never meant to. Intent is not the only measure of impact. People can cause harm without plotting it in a candlelit room like cartoon villains. But a man's lack of malicious intent does not turn careless behavior into care. So how does a committed-minded man act differently? He initiates. He is clear. He does not accelerate intimacy while withholding intention. He takes sexual health seriously. He does not let you disclose your life story, while he remains vague about his capacity for a relationship. He does not manufacture future fantasies he has no willingness to build. He does not accept girlfriend privileges while privately reserving the right to call it friendship whenever accountability appears. And when he ends something, he does so with clarity and boundaries. He does not drift back for emotional consolation. He does not leave little heart-shaped breadcrumbs to keep you emotionally available. J.K.'s lesson is not that kindness is foolish, or that every charming man is a predator. The lesson is that warmth must be paired with discernment. Let a man be charming. Let him impress you. Let him cook, quote classics, fix dishes, and introduce you to every golden retriever in his neighborhood. But do not confuse access with investment. Do not confuse competence with character. And do not confuse intensity with intention. If you want help identifying mixed signals, reclaiming your standards, and learning how to evaluate men by patterns instead of promises, one-on-one coaching is available through the link in the description. Monthly and yearly options are available, and subscribers to the newsletter receive updates and special offers. You can also order The Feminine Game and visit the Ex-Pimp Explains Men Masterclass channel for weekly long-form videos. Thank you for availing coaching, J.K. Your tenderness was never the mistake. The mistake was allowing someone to enjoy it before he demonstrated he had the discipline to deserve it.